Do, 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 do. Yeah, that's right, lads. Yes, we're back on another episode on the Celtic Unrestricted View podcast. My name is Ryan Clifford. Well, it's another, I would say, a positive week for Celtic. Good result against Hearts and obviously the result against United at Canada yesterday. Joining me in this podcast is JP and once again the author, Jamie Boyle. Again, the book's just out from Alan Thompson that Jamie had written. Best-selling already on Amazon. We'll get into Jamie getting talking about the book because I know me personally, I'm really excited to find out how it's been and the reaction from it. JP, back on again, mate, from obviously the event Saturday, which I just need to put a wee mention to, the Celtic State of Mind. Fantastic cause. I think they've raised over £20,000 for St Mary's Parish and I think St Aloysius. Phenomenal effort for the guys. Again, big thanks to Paul John Dykes for getting us involved. The podcast was superb and we were absolutely a big pleasure to be involved. But on tonight's podcast, JP, obviously resulting Thursday with Hearts and then United and yesterday and Sunday. What's your kind of thoughts on obviously the last few days for Celtic?
Good evening, Ryan. Thanks again, mate. Just want to quickly echo just what you've said there. A great cause. Thanks very much. I feel very privileged to be invited on Saturday night by Paul John Dykes and his team to invite us all on and get us part of which was a great weekend for St Mary's and St Alphonsus. Two great causes, let's just say. More on the football. Yeah, very, very positive. Again, we've spoken about it in previous pods. Ange's got us ticking over well. Football's starting to become free-flowing more now. Thursday night against Hearts, you always knew Hearts were going to make it grubby. They were going to kind of try and sit in, hit us in the counter, and then they were going to get in their faces because they've got kind of big boys in their team. Big boy Haring, boy Shooter, Halkett. For me, they're just as what you would call hatchet men. You know, they get in your face, they make it difficult. You're never always going to get an easy game against these guys. More so the big boy Shooter, but he can actually play also. Yeah. Very talented. I noticed that when Kyogo was trying to, squeeze the press and he wasn't. I've seen other defenders fold like a deck of cards up against Kyogo just because of his sheer speed and movement. The big Shooter was kind of holding him off and picking his passes, and obviously the guys round about him weren't doing too much right enough, which is why they eventually never get the result. But yesterday, unbelievable. I mean, that's probably the best performance we've had under the new manager. Totally flawless in terms of the speed of our play, the football we played. Everybody wanted the ball. There was nobody hiding. There was guys coming back for injury, 3 months out, and Greg Taylor, I thought he was outstanding yesterday, man. We spoke about him previously. I know you're not his biggest fan. But, yeah, definitely. I thought he was superb. I think Ange's got him more simplified in what he does. Mm-hmm. So he's in that kind of inverted role with Juranovic on the other side. And they just kept the ball ticking over. They were just giving it into McGregor and Turnbull. Rogic was coming looking. And that's what you had as well. You had Rogic back in the team for both games, which was another big bonus. We could talk about that maybe later down the line tonight. But yeah, really positive. And you've got to look at as well. You've got Jota injured on Thursday night. Comes off with a hamstring injury. Boy Welsh comes off with an injury. Ralston comes off with an injury. I thought we recovered well to bring in the boys that came in yesterday to do the job for us, especially Mikey Johnson. I thought he was outstanding. And you could probably turn around and say that we never even missed Jota at Ralston. That's how good things went for us. Dundee United just, at one point I was sitting thinking, maybe Ange or John Kennedy, throw another ball on. Let Dundee United get a kick here.
I know.
Because it was going that way. It was just, and they were chasing shadows. Yeah, a massive positive, Ryan, and it's, as I say, it's all good. And it's great watching it.
I agree with you with the Hearts game, mate. It was always going to be a tough game. I did, the last 5 or 10 minutes, I did think we were going to score. We were kind of, it was a bit edgy, but again, it shows you the character of the team. If that was last season, we might have lost the game 2-1, but this season, for me, we're leaving at the stage where I would say we're getting there, but this is us just starting to get there. And for me, I know we're 4 points behind. If you look at the table, you're 4 points behind. Why he's getting happy? Well, considering what the manager had to start for the season, what he's building, and I know Rangers are 4 points ahead of us, and Hearts are still behind us, chasing their tail. We see, if you look at every other team than us, we are playing by far the best football. I don't care if they're 4 points ahead or no. The way we are playing now, I think we are still to get better. And I don't know what you think. Obviously, the Hearts game, Jamie, but that was a wee bit of it was a stuffy game. But then on to yesterday, night and day, and I kind of thought it was a game we might have dropped points because, as we said, missing Jota, Ralston, Welsh. I just had that wee feel before the game. I'm like, this should be a struggle here today. But after 5-10 minutes, I was like, nah, I think this will be a comfortable victory, and it certainly was.
Do you know how funny you should say that? You just said something there, Ryan, which said, I think if it was this time last season, we'd have lost the game. Now, I woke up this morning and one of my memories from last year was I named my son after Neil Lennon, but he should be sacked. And obviously, so that was 2 months before we went. So that just really reminded me of how bad things were last year. And I think you bang on, mate. I think this time last year, even the good players, like the really exceptional players, like your French Eddies, were just, everything was wrong. And, the last time I spoke to you the week, I give Ange 8 out of 10. I think for what that man's done, for his capabilities and what he's done, it's maybe 9.5. You can't fault him. Yes, there was 1 or 2 flaws at the start of the season, but he's definitely, even if nothing happens good this year, I mean, he's got to a final, but even if we don't win the league this year, God forbid, he definitely merits on at least being given next year, because when he first took over, Pep Guardiola said he is one of the best coaches I have ever seen. And you think, because I didn't know he was. Mm-hmm. And obviously I started researching in Australia in the World Cup, and everyone, it was just like blown away with his football mind. And for Pep Guardiola, go on record and say that, it's like, you just can't fault the guy, but you've got to be, I don't know what you guys think, but, it's going to be January in 3 weeks and we must hit the ground running. A couple of years, 10, 12 years ago, we should have bought Fletcher in 2009, and that's what cost us the league. And
ended up signing Wallow Flood, Jamie.
Yeah, this has to be, I like to think, at least a couple of proper, decent, or not prospects, some big characters. Maybe them Japanese boys. I've been watching some of them on YouTube, and they look fantastic. But I just think something really needs to happen in January for us to really cement our kind of get ready for the battle for March, April, them kind of months.
No, I agree, mate. I think I kind of think the next few weeks I'll tell. If we come out up to the Rangers game with a full clean bill of health with players, full clean sheets and 3 points, basically the way we want it, I think getting into that game, as long as we're either still 4 points or we're even closer, I think if you win that game, it's boom, all steam ahead. Because I generally think the way we're playing, we're only going to get better up to that game. And I know you kind of look too far. You've got to win. Betis is in Thursday. You need to win that. I know some fans will say it's a damn squib. There's no damn squib playing with Celtic. European football is European football. ideally, I think maybe you might play a few players, but then again, do you risk getting humiliated? So it's a catch-22 for Ange. I don't know what he'll do Thursday, but again, we can talk about it later on in the podcast. But I do agree with you, Jamie, that I think that according to everybody else, the media, he'd have been sacked by now. He wasn't going to celebrate Christmas at Celtic, so it's another thing. I try no listen to media these days, because even when we won all the trophies in the past, they never gave us credit. It was always Rangers or this, and everybody else isn't doing this, and it was never Celtic or brilliant. And I do agree with you that we're slowly ticking away. I'm not getting too high, I'm not getting too low, because we all know football can change very quickly. And I think JP last year showed how quickly football can change.
Oh, definitely. We've said it numerous times. And by the way, let's not forget, lads, that's a brand new team he's put together in the summer window. 12 new players. Let's not forget that. People go, oh, well, you've still got McGregor and you've still got Beaton. But there's guys there that have never, they've never played with a club with the size of Celtic. Either came from other teams because Ange just saw ability in them, and he wants to work with them and he wants to try and develop them further. But the Wide have gelled. Look how quickly the Wide have gelled. They've just gelled so quickly. And see, looking at them, even after a game or before the game, they look like a family. They look as if they've been together for the last 10 years. And that's, by the way, that's testament to the captain. We spoke about him the other night. McGregor. That is testament to what he's doing as a captain. When the new boys come in, he sat down with them all and he says to them, this is Celtic, this is what you need to do, and he laid it all on the line. And he's got a big help there in Joe Hart, because Joe Hart's experience for down the road has been invaluable. Not just down the road, his Champions League experiences and his international experiences with England as well. When we were linked with that guy last season, before we went away and made the mistake of signing the Greek guy at Selena.
No, what is his name?
No, he's not even worth talking about now. No, to be honest, we were linked with Joe Hart then. I says, get everything you can on that guy and go and get him. Don't mess about, go and get him. And we should have done it then. There's a couple of decisions last season. As Jamie says earlier, things weren't right. You could sense things weren't right. They looked unfit. Some of them looked overweight. Some of them looked as if they just didn't want to be there. They were coming out and they were already losing or drawing the game before would even kick the ball. Because I think in their heads were, we'll just get up a ghost here. Some things are rosy in the background. So why should we have to bother going out? The stadiums are empty, so they get away with it. If the stadiums weren't empty, they wouldn't have got away with that for as long as they did. No way. Not a chance, because we wouldn't have stood for it. So, in a sense of, as you say, things can change very quickly. Look how quick things have changed. With a manager who, as Jamie says, he's an elite coach. All you need to do is go and look at his resume. You can see the work he's done, the way he plays, the way he is as a person. He's got a book out as well that I've not got into it, but I'm actually going to go and try and get it.
Right.
Along with Jamie's recent book as well. Looking forward to getting both of them, to be honest. Hopefully Santa brings me them. But in his book, he talks about Ferenc Puskas and how he properly taught him to be a people person, how to be with people, show him coaching skills that he never had before, and then he adapted it all himself, and then he started developing as a better person. He was labelled Mr. Grumpy 10 years ago. Now he's got a sense of humour. You saw that on the Open Goal podcast he done with the two boys, Simon Ferry and Paul Slane. And that was the first time I've seen Ange kind of laughing. He's always got that kind of serious demeanour about him. And I think everybody in the media is sort of, they picked up on that and they're trying to trip him up. They've been doing it every game after every game. And in the headlines, as you say earlier on, Ryan, they don't give us credit. One headline will be, Celtic scraped by Hearts with a 1-0 victory. Dundee United won the at it, so Celtic won 3-0. It's excuse after excuse. Cruciwata got a penalty in the last minute, and they fought very hard to get their victory, and You know, it's a totally different thing altogether. Not talking about how bad they've been all season, but you know, so there's the headlines are on us, but they're on us for the right reasons now, and everybody's all talking about us. Maybe no Rema across the water, but everybody else in the SPL are talking about Celtic now.
Because I
You
can
can make the books, especially the footballer playing.
Aye, I can understand people listening to this when it comes out, or even live now, that they'll say, "Aye, but you're still 4 points behind. Why you're all talking about how good you are playing?" But it's the fact that we've came for the start of the season. We basically didn't have a team in a way. We had a team, but it wasn't a team fit to play European competitions. To
Look at the West Ham game now.
Aye, exactly. And West Ham, let's be honest, West Ham tore us a new arsehole. I know we had some fringe players out and we had Barca singles, but I don't know if that was a game that might I'm not saying it turned a corner for us, but I think it showed Ange exactly the task he had on his plate, because I was watching it. I think we scored first, didn't we? Is that right?
Aye, we took the lead.
And I've let my dad here. Dad, we've played some good stuff here. And then as soon as the goal went in, I was like, "Nah, this isn't looking good, man." Mistakes after mistakes. And Antonio, was it Welsh and Murray, ripped him apart. But look what he does down there. He rips guys like Raphael Varane apart. And see, I like how you mentioned there about him being an elite coach, right? I can have a wee argument with kind of English guys on Twitter because I put up about Ralph Rangnick, which obviously it's a big thing that Williams been talking about, how good he is, and we've watched obviously Leipzig and stuff like that. And I don't know what you think, Jamie, but of somebody who is an elite coach, I know what an elite coach you would like to, or an elite manager, you would say he's got to win things, and which I can totally understand that. But obviously, Angie has won things and he's took teams from the bottom and up, and he's improved them. For me, you don't need to be an elite coach to win everything. See, like Ralph Rangnick, Man U fans are saying, why are we getting him in? And he's won nothing, he's done this. But he's basically Mr. Germany to all these coaches. All these coaches absolutely say that he's the guy that's transformed German football. He's unbelievable coaching. As JP says, he's a people person, management. Just because you've not won trophies doesn't mean that you're not a fantastic coach or a fantastic manager. For me, football obviously is about winning and winning trophies. But if you can improve teams, for me, that's still an elite coach in my opinion, especially Ralph Rangnick, because I can remember, I know it was never going to happen, but there was whispers that Jesse Marsh had got to Celtic and maybe Ralph Rangnick was going to come. I was like, see if Ralph Rangnick came to Celtic, I'll do whatever. I'll give him whatever, just because he's a phenomenal coach. And on Man U, I think they're very lucky to get him because he will steady their ship. And I think after one game, he's improved their stats already in one game. So it just shows you that you don't need to be this Pep Guardiola to be a top coach.
I was talking to Tomo about it the other week, and he said, "Do you know when?" So when Mowbray obviously had his car crash, Lennon come in or March 2010, and it basically steadied. So didn't win, beat Rangers 2010, and then 2010 to 11 didn't win the league, but at least won a trophy. And I think, the season after, Tomo said to me, he said, if we didn't win that cup league, we were going to lose the sack out, And listen, I don't know how the next few months are going to go, but we're in the cup final. And I think, regardless of whatever, he has, Lennon, right? I mean, whoever took this Celtic job when Lennon left, it was the worst time since Mowbray. Brendan Rodgers come in, Ronnie Dyler come in, Lennon come in. But what was left for Ange? French Eddie was away. Ryan, what's he called? Ryan Christie was gone. Ayaya, what was called? So it was a massive. It was a total getting out the dead wood. The people who didn't want to be there, they hadn't wanted to be there. I think it's staggering. Dundee today are making noises about getting rid of Lee Griffiths. Just can't. So that just shows how bad he's gone. So there were so many people there that didn't want to, they didn't even want to, never mind play for the Jersey or be a seller. They didn't even want to be footballers. And for him to come in and do the job he's done is, listen, regardless, if the league is a big ask, we're 4 points behind, but if we can get that League Cup, maybe the Scottish Cup, I think he definitely merits another season. He's by far exceeded my expectations already. And the guy means business. The guy is that kind of, in Glasgow, what do you say, that kind of square goal mentality. Do you know when you see him on the pitch and he's like, we never stop, and you're like, fucking hell. I just fell in love with him. And he's just totally motivated and devoted to the cause. And I don't know what you lads think, but I can't speak any highly of him. Yes, I did want Eddie Howe. Tomo was telling me all about him. He'd done his pro licenses, UEFA badges with him. To think he's never won nothing as such, but he's brought Bournemouth up 4 tiers. And what he's a young manager. I think he's going to be special, but Ange is. I just think the guy's got it, and I'd like to see the full team and crowd and everyone at Celtic back the guy for the next couple of years.
Definitely. I just want to touch on just what Jamie said there, Ryan, if that's okay. Just with Ange, it's this. Seeing he's doing this after every game now.
Yeah.
When's the last manager you've seen? The fans are singing his name, and what was the last manager you've seen with that passion? He's interviewing Thursday night, hit home with me big time when he shut Jane Lewis down like that. When she tried to get him like on camera to say, "Oh, I feel sorry for Robbie Nielsen." He's like, "No, I don't feel sorry for him." He says, "If you think the referee won that game, you're watching a different game to me." And I just thought, I think he's absolute a breath of fresh air. He just doesn't take any nonsense off the media. And if he thinks you're stepping over the line, he's very quickly to put you in your place. You remember back to his presser, when he got into Justice, and the guy says to him, more or less try to implement it, he worked at a lesser level and stuff, and Ange picked up on it straight away, and he shut the guy down. And for then, I was like, this is a new level, this is a different type of manager, this guy's not going to stand for nonsense, which leads me to believe he's not going to take or undermining. It's maybe happened under previous managers with players like Marion Fred getting flung on you, or maybe Bayo, or Marvin Compers. None of that's going to happen under this guy, because he's not going to take any nonsense.
No, I agree, mate, 100%. I think on the Jamie was saying there about maybe the league might be a big ask, I'm very confident. I don't want to be overconfident, but I'd see just the way we are playing football now. I know you've got to be confident as a fan, but I just see the way we're playing football, and that's us no at a peak yet. As you say, Jota wasn't playing yesterday. If Jota was playing, that could have been 6, 7. Let's be fair. We'll go into the game night. Jamie, Kyogo, he scored a lot of goals so far. He had about 5 yesterday. And that's him. He was involved a lot. He had a lot of chances. And the manager at United after the game came out and says, Tam Coates likes all these big words, as we all know. And I think he's done a good job at United, to be fair, considering where he's came from at the level. I think he's doing very well, but he likes a big word here and there. And he came out and says 3-0 flatters Celtic, and I was like, Tam, come on, man. I know you've got to back up your team, but that was 3-0 going on 7 or 8-0. It was a total, absolute blitz. I've not really looked at the stats, right, but I know we had everything clear as day. But see, just watching it, every time we went up the park, Jamie, you're thinking, it's another goal here. It's another goal. Kyogo, all right. But she normal for last season, if you missed a chance, you're thinking that's it. One chance, that's us. If we didn't score that chance, we're only going to get another chance. But yeah, if Kyogo misses one or Abadan misses a 40, thinking, right, cool, we'll get another chance because Jota's still in the park. We've got these guys at creative. And I just think that going forward, I'm very excited. I'm like used to. We're very upbeat. I know we're 4 points behind, but as you say, it's a cup final. we're still in Europe. It might only be the Conference League, but our performances are getting better. And as Ange says yesterday, as with JP says, we've had 2 or 3 wee kind of bad wee results, draws here and there, but we've got still the best defensive record in the league. We're scoring goals every week. The odd week it's been 1 or 2, but 3 going on 7 or 8. I know it's 4 points, but you can't get excited by the way, as JP says, Jamie, the way he's talking, the way we're playing. Even getting Jota for me he's next level. I know we're Celtic, we're a massive club, Jamie, but I know there's rumours about him maybe signing for £6.5 million. £6.5 million, nothing for him, man. That's because I think he's going to be your next £20 million player. And again, we're going too far ahead here. He might not sign, but if he signs, he might only be here for a year because he's that good, in my opinion.
Yeah, do you know something? I was talking to Bruce Rioch. I don't know whether you know him. He was a Bolton manager and he was an Arsenal manager. He played for Scotland. And Alan Thompson, young kid, 19, fiery temper, and they didn't have the money. And basically, Bruce Rioch said, if you give me 250,000, we will sell that player for 2.5 million. Now, it was a lie because they signed him 5 years later for just under 5 million. Now, Jota, 6.5 million, right? That you've just hit the nail on there. Exactly what I'm thinking there. He is the perfect age. You know, listen, we look at Moussa Dembele. He was bought with one eye on selling. And you're right. The probability is if we get 3 years out of him, we've done well. I think it'll be more too. But you're thinking 22, 23 million for that young kid. Exceptional. Oh, he's I've read a lot about him. Ronaldo's raved a lot about him. Have you ever seen the picture with Jota with Ronaldo when he's a little kid?
I don't think
I've got it on my phone, Jamie.
Yeah, you know, so he's been kind of Portugal's up and coming star for years. And you know, Jota said this week, I'm playing the best football in my entire life. But the Celtic board, you know, they'll be thinking that we're gonna get 4 times the amount here in years to come because that's just what Celtic do. But he's you know, Ange, Kyogo, Jota, you know, Starfelt, question marks at the minute, but some of the, I mean, that right back, the Polish boy, what's he called? Juranovic, is it?
Juranovic, yeah.
Oh, he's fantastic. What a signing he is. And, you know, Joe Hart. I mean, I personally think we should have kept Craig Gordon. I think that was a massive, massive blunder. And Joe Hart did look iffy for the first 2 or 3 games. I thought he shot to bits here. And then the game the other week in Germany, I've never seen a Celtic keeper play so well since David Marshall in Barcelona. So, you know, there's a lot of things, but, you know, as I said the other week, Ryan, I just would like to see a couple of big personalities come and put a bit of bite, put a bit of presence in the team. I spoke with Martin O'Neill a couple of months back and he said, I always try to sign every player over 6 foot. I like my players who could run and they were strong. And I just like to get maybe 2 or 3 proper, maybe like not as like Thomas Graveson's in there. Do you know what I mean? Like nasty players. And then I think we'd have every angle covered.
I think that's the only thing at the moment we're kind of missing. I've said it for a while now. Even under Rodgers and Lennon, we're missing a nasty streak about us. I know we're very technical. I think football's changing now, but we're very technically gifted players. Like David Turnbull, I think he's top quality. But he's not getting a nasty streak about him. See that tackle with Callum Butcher? I know he got injured. But I've done what's this all about? And that's the only thing I can maybe say about McGregor. He started to get a bit more vocal to referees. But that tackle yesterday, McGregor, I know he's not going to grab a referee with the neck, but it should be in the referee's face. Listen, you blah, 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 whatever. That's ridiculous. That's a red card. But the full team should be doing it, not just McGregor. I agree with you. That's for me. I don't know what you think, JP, but it's the only thing I would say we're missing. It's that nasty bit about us that we're starting to get. I can see we're starting to get there, but I think I agree with Jamie that maybe players like maybe a Gravison type. Obviously, Gravison was a fantastic player, but it just didn't happen from here. But your Wanyama is. I know that breed is kind of dying out of football, Scott Brown breed, but I think if you get a breed like that to play with McGregor and Turnbull, and again Rogic, that guy just. We'll talk about it in a minute. But that guy's phenomenal. Rogic, I can't get enough of the guy. I know they've been able to show him for £4 million. £4 million. At the time, it did look a decent deal because we were up and down. But see, looking now, you're thinking, I actually see he's left fit. You know what I mean? It's phenomenal. But I do agree with Jamie, JP, that we need a bit of nasty, and it's just to maybe tidy his other line.
Absolutely. We need a bit of grit. I agree with Jamie wholeheartedly with that. I think, as you said, Ryan, we're starting to see it because I've noticed it when he plays Ralston.
Mm-hmm.
He's right at McGregor's back. See if something kicks off, he's right at McGregor's back there. He's solid in the challenge, Ralston. I think it was it the Hearts game last week? The boy up front, Gillingley, tried to take him on, man, and he just blotted him. Like he knocked it out for a shy, but the way he went through him, the boy then went more centrally and off the wing sort of thing. It was as if I'm not going back near him again because he's just going to rattle me here. He done the exact same thing, Ralston, at the beginning of the season against Midtjylland with the boy Sisto, the Danish boy. Mm-hmm. And he died right out again. As soon as Ralston hit him in the first 2 minutes, and the boy just died right out again. He done the same in Denmark as well. So he's got that wee kind of, you can start to see as he was playing in game after game after game, and he's pointing at referees and have to say, right, you're pulling me up for that week with him, and he's kicking players. And then the one I noticed at the cup semi-final at Hampden, the big boy, what's that big boy's name? Big boy, Rooney. See when he scalped Welsh, Turnbull was right there on his face, like pointing at him as if you're getting it, one of them ones. I noticed that as well. So it's starting to come, but I do agree with these boys. I do think we need a bit of grit, get somebody in the centre, and teams will be like, oh, here, hold on now. Somebody that's really physical and they'll show you their war face every time they go into the field, you know what I mean? And I've heard from numerous of different backgrounds in the Celtic support, giving it, we're too lightweight, we're too nice, we need to do this, we need to do that. And sometimes you need to do, especially in Europe, because a lot of these teams are cuter in Europe, Brian. Mm-hmm. Jamie, you probably noticed yourself, you're playing in Europe, a lot of especially against the Spanish, the Portuguese, as soon as you hit them, they'll just drop.
Yeah.
You need to be clever with them. You need to sort of, you need to know when to hit them. And you need to know, don't just try and hit them just for the sake of hitting them, because they're going to drop and you're going to get booked, or, you'll get players sent off, and that's what happens against these teams. They're it's in there mainly, I think we need it. Scotland, I think, we can afford with any in Scottish football. And we'll beat teams here with just sheer quality. We don't need to. There's maybe get certain individual games. You could say we need to be a wee bit more aggressive there. But 9 times out of 10 in Scottish football, like the way Ange's got is playing now, we're going to run out of happy teams, guys. With the way the fitness of your team, and you've mentioned individual players. We've got the squad there to dismantle anybody, and that includes them across the water.
As you say about people in the centre, Jamie Rogic, that goal yesterday is absolutely unbelievable. Like he doesn't look strong, but he's just so powerful with the ball at his feet, and I know sometimes he can't last the full game, but again, that's maybe due to sports science. That just might be his body. We don't know. But I know sports science these days takes a lot to do with football, but he just glides past these defenders, man, and it's not like the United players are dog meat. They're very decent players, some of these guys at United, and they just can't get anywhere near this guy's feet. And that goal yesterday, 100%, that's one of the best goals I've seen in a long time. It's definitely up for player of the year, player goal of the season, sorry.
Yeah, do you know something? I think it was fake because Rogic was on the way out. His career was over, and you know who to take over at the club he was flagging at than his old boss. And if there was anyone who knew how exceptionally talented Tommy Rogic was, it was Big Ange. And it's like he's a new player. He's got, you know, he's quite a big guy as well, but he's got like them kind of quick feet. And you know, I see. Yeah, the only thing is he doesn't last the games. He's one of his players who's just, you know, Tomo said them players like Eric Cantona or Matthew Letizia, they can do nothing all game. Tomo said to me, Lubo was like that. He said he'd watch him and you think you haven't got a fault. And it's almost like he's at a slow pace, doing everything in slow motion. And Rogic is like that. You know, he's when he's on his day, he's unplayable. But like you said, you know, I mean, if he was a finished article, Ryden, and he could last games, he maybe wouldn't be at Celtic. He'd be at someone.
I agree.
In the German leagues or somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
No, I agree, mate. I don't think he'd be here. And he's one of the only guys I know, JP, that his hairline doesn't move. It's always perfect. And I'm jealous. I'm 28, my hairline's going to be already, and he's the same age as me, I think, and he's got a gorgeous hairline. So he's good looking and all. But I definitely Rogic, Jamie. I think I'm so glad he's here. And I don't know, JP, if he actually knew before us maybe how this isn't happening, because I don't know if he knew in the summer that he was coming, because there was no rumours about Rogic leaving or no sign a new deal or whatever. And I think there was whispers about Ange, and right away he came out and says, he's top draw. So did he know that Ange was coming in? He might have said that about the club, we don't know, but I'm just glad he's here, and he will be a big part for us, I think, this season anyway. Well, no, he stays beyond this season, but I think as long as Ange is here, I think Rogic has got a place in the team.
100%, mate. I think what was vital for us guys, he dedicated himself. See, as Jamie says, he was, you know, his Celtic career was done. He was gone, and that was it. But he in the summer, he dedicated himself. He could have went away with Australia and, you know, chose, no, I'm staying, I'm going to get fit. Because he loves being with Celtic, and you can see that when he plays. He loves the fans, and we love him equally. But you've kind of got to, it's all right us second guessing and saying, you know, was that part and parcel? Did they know that Big Ange wasn't coming, or wasn't going to be Eddie Howe? And but as Jamie says as well, things happen for a reason, you know. If you look back, I know previous years, Big Simunovic nearly went to Italy, and he was there, he was doing a medical, and something scuppered it, and he came back, and he was outstanding when he came back into Brendan's team. We all thought he was on his way out the door as well. And we thought that was another £4 or £5 million wasted under Dillier as well, and you know, he's always injured and blah, and then he came back and Brendan got him fit. So maybe it's one of the fairy tales. It's, you know, he's going to be there, and maybe the big man's going to lead us into the next bout of success for us. Hopefully. I hope he's at the forefront of it all. I'll never forget the day we won the Invincible Treble. When he, again, you're talking about slow motion. That run when he runs past O'Connor and then he takes the ball by Considine and scores. That, to me, watching that in the house, that lasted about half an hour. Ages for him to get to the goal. And it was just everything, it was like the Matrix when it goes all that young slow way. And it was like, oh, and you just see him gliding. And what a footballer he is. I mean, the talent the guy has got is unbelievable. And I said it on a previous pod, he would nutmeg you in a phone box with flip-flops on with a beach ball full of helium. That's how good he is.
With a cigar.
Just with a cigar and a pair of sunglasses on and reading a paper. He's just that good. He's unbelievable. And he does it, as you said, his hair doesn't move. I mean, they've just had Storm, is it Anwar or whatever it was called up there? Some of your fans couldn't get in one of the stands because of the thing. It was blowing a gale and his hair's not moved. Either that, he's using a good cosmetic number to keep it in a hard and sturdy.
Well, if you don't...
Maybe Stuart Armstrong's third
Aye.
voice or something, who knows?
Obviously, talking about fairy tales, Jamie, Liam Scales comes on and scores his first goal for Celtic. Again, cracking finish. I'm not saying he was forgot about, but people were saying, why is he not playing? And I actually said before the game, how Taylor was brought in for a cold, been injured for 3 months or 2 months, and he's playing. I'm thinking, this boy's skills can't be up too much if he's not getting a chance. But his finish was superb, and that's a finish you would expect for Kyogo, Abada, Forrest. Not a guy who's just come after basically off the bench. So I think he might be somebody upcoming that could come in and do a job for us.
Do you know, I've got a friend lives in Ireland, so he watches all the leagues, and he said, Jamie, this kid's a player, and you know, I mean, obviously I'm a lot older than you guys, so I remember Roy Keane coming over from Bohemians, I think it was, or something like that, and for Nottingham Forest. And you're right, Ryan, it was real Roy of the Rovers shit, you know, to come on and score on his debut. But my mate has watched him for a couple of years, and he said, honestly, he is really, really good. He obviously needs time to settle in. He's still a young lad. I think he's only about 22, isn't he?
He's young.
Aye.
You know, but he's been here at Celtic a few months now, and it was his first start the other day. You think, you know, maybe the next game, the European game, nothing to play for. I know we don't want to get absolutely mullered, but you know, there's nothing to play, and I think this is when kids like this need a break. Mm-hmm. You only have to look at the English leagues and the League Cup. Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United never put the reserves team out, and you know, yes, we want to win it, but I definitely think it's a game where 4 or 5 of the players need to run about, you know, that are normally on the first team sheet.
I would say so. Obviously, JP, we're getting a wee bit we're not getting depleted, but injuries are coming, and we need to try and save our best players like Jota injured. So I know ideally, I get he's not the best guy you want to play, right? He's not really done well for us, but I would give Kyle go a rest, as Jamie says. Player Yeti, I'm not saying it's last chance to learn from, but give him a game, because if Kyogo gets injured, we're pretty much snookered up front, because Jackie Marcus is injured. A Yeti, I think, I don't know about a Yeti. He's not done a lot for us. I think fans will say, Ryan, how can he give him any credibility? I'm not saying he's good enough, but I just think that I would play him to give Kyle go a rest. Even put Kyle on the bench just in case we need a last minute goal or something, just to give him a run about. But I agree with Jamie, guys like Scales. I would keep Joe Hart and goes a winning change the goalkeeper, because they two don't deserve to play. But I do agree, if on to Thursday, I would change it a wee bit. I'm not saying too much, but I would give guys like Scales, maybe put a Yeti on, maybe play Montgomery at left back to give Taylor as he's just come back. Just things like that, just to keep us fresh and ticking over.
First of all, I just hope Kyogo's not watching this, and he's interpreter with him, the two of them are maybe on FaceTime, now that he gives you some hate mail on the Facebook.
Listen, if he's watching this, then I'm that's me. I've made it in Japan, man.
But he's one of the players, isn't he? He wants to play every game, and I think Andrew's alluded to it before, and McGregor spoke about it in some of his interviews as well. You know, he's one of the hungry players. If he's fit, he wants to play. And I'd imagine every player that play at a high level at Celtic, and they would all feel the same. They would all feel pretty much aggrieved if they're left out. But I get what you're saying. Obviously, it doesn't matter what happens. We could go and win 10-0. It's not going to impact anything. We're still going out of that competition. And I'm not, by the way, I hope everybody that's listening is not thinking for 1 minute I'm saying that Celtic are going to go and win 10-0, because that's not what I'm meaning. But I'm just saying we could go and win convincingly. It's not going to do us any good, because we're still dropping out, and we're dropping into the Europa Conference after it. It's a kind of strange one, isn't it, to be at this point, and even you're going into a big European night, you'd expect it to be pretty much sold out at Celtic Park. I think us as fans, I probably want to see a strong team as well. I think if it starts to get, there's a lot of changes in you, but a lot of guys will start to contemplate making a trip to Celtic Park, I think, because you want to go and see all the best players. You've said it yourself, Ryan, you pay your 30, 40 quid to go and watch guys like Jota, Kyogo, Abada, Forrest, on top. These guys have got to be in top form. And when they're in top form, they've got to be playing. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, I would change it personally. I would even go as far as to say I would probably give somebody in every position a rest. For the defence, to midfield, to forward, I would play a Jetty as well. I wouldn't play Kyogo. But we can all second guess it was to what Ange's going to do. Defence, I don't think you'll see much change for that, because I think we're a bit depleted numbers there. Especially centre half. Because Big Julian isn't ready yet, so it'd have been good to have a big man ready, because that would have been nice to see him back on Thursday night, ready to go and ready to show us again what he can do. Because again, mate, we spoke about that as well. He's a vital player for us. He scored a lot of big games. He scored vital goals. Big game player, big talker in the team as well. A big character in the dressing room. I've got a video actually on my phone as to when we won the League Cup. He scored the winner, and you just see him in the dressing room, and you can tell right away he's a massive character. Do you know what I mean? And all the boys there cuddling him, and he's got the trophy, telling you what he's going to do in the video and stuff. It was great, but no, I would make changes personally, but that's, as I say, that's maybe not everybody's decision.
I am like you. Obviously, ideally, Masons are all gone on Thursday. I would want to see Kyogo playing, your Abadas, your Forrest. You want to see the best players playing the European. You want to go win the game. You want to go and beat Betis and put a statement out. But as you say, you've got to think about these things. I don't know. I can agree with Jamie and you, mate. I think obviously some fans, you want your Kyogo to play, but realistically, is there any harm in giving a Jet 90 minutes? Because as you say, I'd rather keep Kyogo fresh for the weekend's game and leading up, because there's many important games coming up. Every game is important with Celtic, 100%. We need to win the game against Betis. You want to win the game against Betis. It's more coefficient, it's more money, it's everything else, and it keeps momentum. But I'm the same. I'm not saying a Jetty has to play, but I'm just saying if it's a guy who's not been playing, just play him. I do agree with you. Maybe make 3 or 4 changes. It might upset the apple cart for one game, but there's no harm to give guys game time. And obviously, Jamie, before we came on, we done a wee poll on Twitter. I think we spoke before we came on. Obviously, the Japanese boys might be come in. We don't know if that's set in stone, Jota. But the poll was on, obviously, John Suter. Just I've seen a few comments on Twitter, and a few of the guys in the group chat were saying, it was Robert was actually saying, would you take John Suter? And Masons all agreed, injury prone, but he might be over his injuries now. And Robert was mentioning how he was coming through United. He did look very good, and there was rumours about going to Rangers or Celtic. He's went to Hearts. The next step might be down south or to Celtic or Rangers. I think it's a free transfer, pre-contract in January. I'm not going to say it's a no-brainer, because you've got to think about his injuries. Can he step up and play consistently? Is he better than your Starfelts, your Vickers, your Julians? Is he better than Stephen Welsh? I don't know. Fans might say aye, fans might say no. I'd rather play Welsh because he's at this level already. I think if a free transfer for squad depth, I would say it's a pretty decent deal. Again, you could come in even in bid 500 grand in January and get him. I don't know, because I think there will be suitors, for enough suitors. But I do think, Jamie, that me personally, I'm normally like, we need to get quality for quality. But I think he could come in and do a job for us. Obviously, ideally, I want a guy to come in and do a job for us in Europe. But I think for a backup for the SBL, or the SBFL it's called now, I don't think it'd be a catastrophic signing. I think it'd be a decent signing for the value you're maybe getting for. Yeah. I'd rather that than pay £3 million for a guy for the Championship than hand them as John Suter for a free transfer. I think business sense, it makes a bit more value.
Bruce Rioch said to me, he said, I once pulled Bill Shankly, and I said, Bill, you know, what do you look for in signing a player? And he said, I don't sign injured players. And Bruce Rioch said, the reason I signed Alan Thompson was he's never, ever injured. Now, you know, you do you remember Celtic signed Paddy McCourt?
Yeah.
Because he was always injured and, you know, he might be good. You know, Martin O'Neill signed, and it worked on Didier Gat. He was always injured. He was too fast for his own body and he suffered from hamstrings his whole career. But, you know, Martin would pick and choose and rest him for certain games and bring him out of the box against Bayern Munich and all this. You know, it's certainly, I certainly wouldn't think, oh, we'll go and spend a few million on a player, because he wouldn't excite the Celtic supporters. But is he good enough? Yes. When I've watched him, I have been impressed. He's young. He's youngish. He's still yet to reach his prime. Yes, he has injury problems, but if you can have him for free, and there will be a lot of interest in him, by the way, if they can get him, then he certainly would enhance the squad. But would he be some of the fans would be really excited about? I don't think so. I think he just more, you know, be back up for the squad. I definitely don't think he, you know, unless he had to really put a place and worked on his getting a hold in the. I've never seen him, from when I've watched him, I've never seen him good enough to walk in that Celtic team. And I think it will be a guy. Listen, if you can get him for free, you've still got to pay the guy's wages. And, you know, he would be a 50-50 to a lot of supporters, I think, Ryan.
I think, JP, the only reason I brought it up is I've seen it on Twitter the day, and obviously Robert mentioned the group chat. I just thought I'd mention it on here, and obviously for the listeners taking a debate, and obviously maybe he's a bit abuse saying what he's talking about John Souttar for. But again, I just thought I brought it up because I know, as Jamie says, 50-50. On the poll, it was 51. It was basically 51% yes. So even the fans out on the poll were very behind me. So I don't know what you think it. I think you said you were maybe for it. I think you would maybe do for Scotland, but I think obviously I'm not big Peter Lawwell. We need to get guys in for the Champions League and European football, but we're not Champions League level yet, so you've got to obviously gauge what you're signing. Me, I'm kind of like Jamie. I'm a 50-50. I would probably take it because it's a free transfer, but you've got to pay the guys' wages. It's maybe a similar situation with Jozo, JP. We could have kept him on, but for some reason, if it was the board or Lennon, I think they let him go because obviously his knee, and then eventually he's back playing now. But what's your opinion, obviously? And Souttar, I know he's doing well. I know that incident the other night was not really good on him, but I'm not going to count that on the guy signing because, listen, we've all done stupid things in the football park. We've all elbowed guys in the bollocks and other things. We've all done stupid stuff in a football park to win a game of football, but that was nasty. But take that away, would you sign him, or do you think there's maybe better free transfers out there that we can maybe get under the radar?
I'm always a great believer, Ryan, and you've got to look close to home. It's not just about going and looking in the foreign markets. I'm always, I do think, I know I spoke about this before, for me, he's kind of ahead of Stephen Welsh and his development. I know, again, I mentioned that, you know, John's had he's had numerous injury problems that's probably stunted his progression as well. I don't think I can remember anybody ranting and raving. I remember when I was younger at Tannadice, the United and stuff, and I cannot remember anybody being ranted and raved about so young as what he was when John Kennedy. And he's sort of, John Kennedy was, by the way, if John Kennedy was allowed to have had the career he was supposed to have had, he wouldn't have been at Celtic that long. He was going places. That boy was unbelievable. And the big Souttar's the same. He's made a lot of noise when he was younger. Loads of people, scouts and all that, going to watch him, as Jamie says it. There is going to be a lot of interest in the boy because he's a modern day ball playing centre back. He can mix it up, he can play long, he can play short, he can take people on, he can break the press, he drifts out with the ball. I think you've just got to look at he was back in the Scotland team now. He scores a great goal against Denmark. I thought his all-round performance that night was absolutely outstanding against, for me, they're one of the top sides. You've got to look at their players as well. I mean, they got to the semi-finals of the Euros. And he was outstanding. So the boy Damsgaard never moved the whole night against us, and he's probably one of the biggest threats in Europe, like in attacking sense at in the final third. His movement, his ferociousness, the way he can play off the shoulder again, he can cut in and out. Similar to Giggs when he dribbles with the ball. He goes one way, he goes the old zigzag pattern, and Damsgaard's got that in abundance. And I thought Big Suter really handled him. He handled him really well. He's got a bit of pace as well, Ryan. He's got a ton of pace as well. Noticed that on Thursday night when Miki Ogo tried to, hit him on the press. Obviously, the wee man's movement for the goal, it doesn't matter. You get away with marking Kyogo for so long. Eventually, he's going to get away for you because of the way he moves. And it doesn't matter what defender. He would do that to Van Dijk. He's got that quality and just that sudden sharp movement. He'd get away for anybody. In my opinion, he would do that to the best in the game as well. Not just John Suter. But I think John Suter would be. He knows the league as well, which is a big help. I don't think he would take much time to settle, especially the way Ange plays, because he likes to play on the ball. And Juranovic has spoke about that previously. I love it here because the ball's always between my legs. Maybe he's played elsewhere where he's had to defend and he's maybe not, But no, I do think on the front foot playing the way Celtic play, I think that would suit Suter. It would suit Suter if that makes sense to a better word. I'm for it, especially if you're getting him for nothing. And from my opinion as well, I think he's better than Jack Hendry.
I would say when it comes to, I don't want us to sign. Well, obviously you've got to sign a project here and there. Like Jota's not a project, but it would be a project when it comes to maybe selling on. I understand exactly what Jamie was saying that in that sense. But see, like signing Kamaras for $3.5 million and guys like that, I wanted to try and get rid of that and try. I know you can't at Celtic, you can't get the total full player. You can't pay the money for these full guys. You need to get the odd gem or the odd project. But Shooter's not a project. He's in the Hearts first team. He's in Scotland now. He would maybe slot in, as Jamie says, maybe a squad player. He might dip in and out, or he might play all the time. We don't know. I'm just speculating to accumulate here.
That's what might put the boy off as well, Ryan, if Celtic come in from, because I think he would know as well. Hey, I'm not maybe going to play every week in there. Do you know what I mean? There's some right good defence, including Julian. And if you can manage to get a hold of Carter Vickers, you've got Big Starfelt there, who's for me he's been absolutely unbelievable as well.
The last few weeks, I think Jamie, you did say I'm agreeing with you, Jamie. I think I actually put a tweet out saying that he was tackling like an empty Lacoste trackie against Aberdeen. He was hopeless. But the last 2 or 3 weeks, I have looked yesterday, was maybe his best performance, Jamie. I thought he was really comfortable, and he's getting a partnership now with Vickers that we've not had in a while. I know Ayer and Julian had a good partnership, but we lost that last season because obviously Julian was injured and Ayer was getting moved to right back. We didn't have a solid defence. I think now we're starting to get a solid defence, obviously the fruits of the centre back. And as you say, I'm a big fan of the right back. I know he had Leverkusen's a wee bit poor, but again he was playing the left side. I think sometimes he does get the ball away a wee bit. I know Ralston, if that was Ralston, I'd be going Ralston's case, so I need to go on his case as well. But I'm agreeing with you, Jamie, that I think Juranovic has got a bit more quality than Ralston, and I think he's more comfortable in the ball. But then again, Ralston has been good this season, but I think for me, Juranovic, as much as Ralston's been performing well, and you can't really criticise a guy, I'm more on the Juranovic train where I think I'm more comfortable with him playing there with experience, as you say, of international football, and I think he will be the long-term right back. But again, you can't criticise Ralston.
No, do you know what? I don't think there's, pound for pound, right? I don't think there's anyone in the Celtic squad who's done what Ralston's done this season. Like, I mean, obviously you can grave Kyogo, but the most improved and the guy who's prepared to fight down on his gum shield is Ralston. Because last season or whatever, you think you don't deserve to be here, mate. But going back to the Hearts defender coming in, you know, these players, you've only got to look at Scott Allen, you know, proper decent for Hibs, but moving to Celtic, really, for me, ruined his career. This one might be a bit too late for, going back for you, Ryan, but I don't know whether you remember Derek Ryden. He was a proper legend for Hibs, one of the top players in Scotland. signed for Celtic when he was about 24, 20, he was in his prime and completely killed his career. And I was looking, funny enough, I was looking at his stats the other week because I was thinking about suggesting do his biography. And Derek Ryden was a proper Hibs legend. The goals he scored, if you want to check it up, phenomenal. And when he went to Celtic, it's like Liam Miller, God rest him, went to Man United. And, and there must be a lot of players in and around the SPL when Celtic have looked at them that you thought, this could be the worst thing I ever do. Listen, it could be the end of me. And you've got players who are happy to sit and like the Polish goalkeeper years ago, backup for
Zaluska.
Yeah, he was happy to not play and pick his money up. Bobo Baldi was at the end, and because he was going to get better money. But surely them kids, you want to be playing, and maybe you might get a game every 3 months for Celtic where you could be playing every week for St. Johnstone or something. So, it's a catch-22, and it must be a massive, massive do I, don't I, when a club like Celtic, or Rangers for that matter, come in for the likes of them kind of players.
Because I can mind... On you go.
Probably doesn't help, Jamie, when Gordon Strachan comes out in a media conference and says he's the best finisher I've got at the club and the boy still doesn't play.
It's just what I was about to say.
Never ever understand it. How old are you, JP?
I'm nearly 38.
Right, so you remember the Strachan thing, and the only thing I ever really held against Gordon Strachan was signing Adam Virgo, which was a shocker. But do you know what? Derek Ryden, the best finisher, and I tell you what, I don't know, maybe I'm a bit too busy at the minute, but it's certainly one in the back of my mind because that book would set Edinburgh on fire from one half of the city. If you have a look at the stats of Derek Ryden for Hibs, phenomenal.
Definitely.
More than a goal every 2 games. It was something I was blown away with. And you think, he just was got lost in the Celtic. And he was a Celtic fan as well. And, it basically ruined his career. So, it must be a hard one for them lads to, when you think, do I, don't I? And, there's been lots of Celtic Rangers coming in for Nacho Novo and do the opposite. Establish himself as a first name proper Glasgow legend. But I think more often than not, there's a lot of them players who've been took out of, your Momo Sillas and they've just disappeared. David Fernandez's and, you think, hang on a minute, probably for your career, you were probably better off staying at Dundee United or Kilmarnock or someone.
You've brought back a few memories there, Jamie, with the old Adam Virgo. Because at the time I thought we needed John Virgo because we needed Snickers. At the same time, I was like, oh no, here we go. I expected them to come out. When I seen Virgo, I expected them in a bow tie and a waistcoat and that, but they were in for a shock when we saw Adam. And that, by the way, that's not Adam's fault. It was just, yeah.
I think he was just under 2 million, and that was 2005.
Yeah.
And Celtic signed him, and he had one good game against Motherwell, which he got man of the match.
Yeah.
I don't even remember it, but some crunching tackles. And you think, my mate watched him for Brighton. He said he's phenomenal. And I'm thinking, what are you watching? And
who are they playing against?
Yeah, he left Celtic and his career fizzled away.
The other one you mentioned, David Fernandez, he looked as if the manager just woke him up 20 minutes before the game was ready to kick off. Every time he took to the field for Celtic.
Do you know what I like about him, though? Was he scored against us in 2006 for Kilmarnock. I was there. And he done a Henrik. Do you know when Henrik come back and scored against us?
Yeah.
He just went off and he looked devastated. Where you've got Alan Thompson talks about it in the new book. Scott McDonald scored the 2 goals against us and celebrated like he'd won the league. So Fernandez scored and he looked mortified. I always remember Derek White. He said to me, I scored against Celtic in the cup for Partick Thistle, and I thought, get in. And I ran back to the halfway line and I thought, shit, I might put Celtic out the cup here because he was a fan. So yeah, but there's a few old faces and stories and that. But I always think, what would you do? Lots of clubs going for these kids, and you think, well, the chances of making it at one of the Glasgow's big two is like going to be the next Liam Gallagher or something. It's one in a, hundreds of thousands, and and quite often lots of players don't make it. Sometimes over the years, Craig Beattie looked like he was going to make it. Ross Wallace, the odd Sean Maloney's will and that, but a lot of the time it's just the club will always look and sign bigger players rather than, and there's not often that people really make it at the club and cement the legacy.
Yeah, and as you say, Jamie, about old faces, you've just obviously wrote Alan Thompson's book. How's the reaction been? I know we've had the conversations, and it's already a very, very brilliant selling book already, and it's been all over Twitter and people have been talking about it. How's the reaction been for yourself and obviously Tobble, and I'm guessing your two phones have been absolutely constant?
Well, I knew, we'd done the story in the Sun Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I thought, great, biggest paper in the country, and then I get bombarded, absolutely bombarded. Now, I knew the Sun wasn't popular in Liverpool. And a lot of fans have said, I'm ruining Alan's career and they're going to boycott the book. We've had a little wobble. One of the sports writers rang me a few days after and he went, Jesus Christ, Alan Thompson has had some stick. Obviously, the blue side of Glasgow. Some of the stories were controversial. It's some of his old faces are back in, and the stories of the alleged affair, and Peter Lawwell's apparently not happy about it. Lenny is there's certain people a bit pissed off. But it's been massive. It's been I knew. I said to Alan last year, your book is massive, you just don't realise. And Alan suffers from lack of confidence sometimes. And now he's been like, I didn't even realise he had a story. And I'm sat thinking, I'm surprised you're surprised.
No.
It's like, do you not realise who you are and what you've done and the legacy you left in Glasgow, whether half the city hated you or half adored you and wanted to adopt you? You were responsible for highly mixed emotions in the third biggest city in Great Britain, which hosts the world's biggest derby. And it's been massive, and it's been great for my career because obviously I've written a lot of true crime. I've dealt with a lot of scumbags. For instance, I was talking to Alan Shearer earlier. So he's kind of opened doors for me, if you like. I've had sit-down meetings with Martin O'Neill and had the opportunity to discuss doing books with the likes of like Stan Collymore, John Hartson, and I probably wouldn't have done that without the Alan Thompson. Yeah. So but I think Tomo, he was just, probably 94 times out of 100, it's met with love, and every single supporter will say, "Oh, Tomo got what it meant to play for Celtic. He was gallus, he was skillful, he was a big game player. He knew how to lead the boot in, he knew how to wind him up. But above all, he was accepted, and it's been really, really huge. My publisher said to me this morning, there's been several big orders from the big book companies of Scotland, Edinburgh, Dundee, all that kind of thing. So, but he was one of my really favourite players. And I told him this the other week. I've actually probably known him now near enough a year. I've never ever told him this. But when I split up from my ex in 2003, so I was like 22-year-old. I was still like a young kid. I went back to my mum's and lived there. and I had Alan Thompson posters on my bedroom wall. I had Alan Thompson posters on my bedroom wall, and it's crazy. Near enough 20 years of he's become my drinking partner, and you know, I'll often send him funny daft videos when I'm in the bath, or you know, he's got a great sense of humour. But you know, I'm sure I speak for you both that he was. I mean, more so you, JP he was more your era. I mean, Ryan's a young buck, but Thompson arrived 2000, left officially July 2007. Really left the year before because he was out on loan. But Ali McCoy said to me, you know, lots of people come up to Glasgow from England or Spain, Italy, and they think this is going to be easy. And they'll play 3 or 4 games and they'll think, right, on you go. You know, Thompson got what it meant to play for Celtic. He got what the Old Firm was about. 26 games, 3 red cards, which is a record at Ibrox. 7 goals for a left back, like a winger. You know, proper iconic player in Glasgow. And if you think of that Martin O'Neill era, which was the greatest, certainly in my lifetime, there's so many of your Neil Lennons, your Paul Lamberts, your Bobos, your Hartsons, your Sutton, your Petrovs, and Thompson, your Larsons. He is as equal as any one of them. And you know, I said to him, he didn't get the Celtic exit he deserved. And I just like to, I mean, I put it in the book personally. I think, you know, this he is the credit and thank you from the Celtic fans that you never got. Here it is in the book. I don't know what you guys think.
No, I agree, Jamie. I can remember most of, obviously, I know I'm a bit younger than you, but he was one of my heroes growing up. I know most that team was, but Alan especially. It was a fantastic. I think a lot of fans, like you say, adored him very quickly. He came up here. He's similar to Ange. I know Ange, he's come in and knows exactly what Celtic's about. Alan's the same. You go to all the speakers events with him. He's brilliant. Even some of these players think they're big time. They'll get a photo and they'll walk away. And I've had a drink with my dad at one of these nights. That's the sort of guy he is. Like you say, I don't think he realises how big he actually is, especially in Glasgow. And I still say the England cap that he got, but didn't really get, was ridiculous. He was one of the best left mids in Europe at the time.
Yeah.
But again, that's just the Scottish culture. These guys up here don't get a chance. I know Foster got a chance. Hooper probably should have got a chance. He didn't. Sinclair that season didn't get a chance, and Southgate came out and basically says he's not getting a sniff, but on form he's probably the best left mid in England and Scotland for the England team. But JP definitely, Thompson, absolute hero. And I think me and Jamie spoke before the book came out. I had no qualms that the book was going to be an absolute success because, let's be honest, there's more than 60,000 Celtic fans and they all buy the book. They all want to know what's. It's not just really about him. They want to know what he's went through at Celtic, what happens behind the scenes. Like Jamie says, the stories that have come out in the papers. You want to know that, and the fact that it's come out in the papers, it's giving you a teaser. Like, I want to buy the book. So it's very well promoted with Jamie and Alan, and it doesn't matter. Obviously, as Jamie says, the paper isn't liked, but see, in a business sense, who cares about the paper? You've got to do what you need to do for your business.
Absolutely.
See, as Jamie says, we all know the Sun or whatever, right? But it's the biggest paper in Britain. It's going to sell books. It's going to sell paper. It's going to sell. It's going to make you and Alan promoting wise brilliant. So you've got to do what you've got to do. And JP Thompson, there's not much we can really say about him because the guy's phenomenal. And I'm sure his book will be a massive success, but it's already been, and that's only been a few days and a week or so that it's been out.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Ryan. It must be what to just say the last 20 years he's been your drinking buddy. That must be unbelievable, Jamie, because I had the privilege of meeting him twice. And as you said, Ryan, so down to earth. He would take every minute to come and say, shake your hand, how you doing, just ask you how you and your life is and your family and everything else. not even talking about yourself or that, just so down to earth. But what a player. I mean, I was talking to my wee boy about him a couple of days ago. He's got the best left peg I've ever saw in Scottish football, ever. And I'm going back, you can talk about your George Albertses, and I mean, this guy had pinpoint accuracy. Passes for the left back position. I seen him making a 70-yard pass at Tynecastle and picking Didier Agat at the corner flag. He picked him out for he's near enough his 18-yard box. The guy was just unbelievable. The best goal I ever seen him score, Jamie, was when we were at Ibrox, and he plays a 1-2 with Henrik, and he takes it on, he beats three of them, and then curls it with his right foot, right bag cross, and just runs away and does this. Brilliant. What? And that just shows you the character in him, because he knew it was like kind of, it's a beauty.
You know what? I'll tell you two stories. Now, Alan, he got voted in one of the Rangers polls as the most hated Celt ever. And obviously, he was always winding them up. But his missus said to me, I knew he was big, but even like she's walked down Sucky Hall Street or Argyle Street, and there's been homeless people just went, fucking Alan Thompson. She was on the phone. I think it must have been this year or last year, to some call, Scottish Power or some electric. And she just moved into a house, and she said, my boyfriend was a footballer, Alan Thompson. The guy's like, get he fuck. He's like, no. It's like, I don't think she grasped how, if that guy went in any of the Gallagher bars, he would not buy a drink for the rest.
They wouldn't get back out,
And so some of the goals he scored, your Bayern Munichs, your Rosenbergs, your Liverpools, your Shakhtar Donetsks, Barcelona winner, iconic, absolutely iconic. And I'm talking to Didier Agat now. I was supposed to meet him a couple of weeks back, but I'm not that much on. But I am going to sit with him. He lives in Sunderland now, so he's not that too far away from me. And he's another one that I'm probably going to move heaven and earth to just it's not even a business sense of me. It's just it's the Celtic. It's kind of that team. I think I said to you the last time, Ryan, my first season was a centenary. I was 7-8 year old. I lived in Glasgow 97, 98 when we stopped the 10 in a row. But the greatest side was at Martin O'Neill, 2000 to 2005. And I thought the closest we ever come to it was Brendan Rodgers, Moussa Dembele, French Eddie. And I thought, we might be able to do something here again. Obviously, we've done everything domestically, but Europe, we just weren't good enough. And maybe I might never see a team or an era of my beloved Celtic in my lifetime again, like your John Hartons, your Didier Gats, your just all them kind of players I mentioned earlier, because it was just so special. And I think that's why so many Celtic fans have, and the buyers in the books, and it's just went crazy. And I knew what it was coming. I knew before Alan, and he deserves it. The guy's so humble. There's a saying in life, never meet your heroes. And last couple of years, I've got to know a lot of famous people, infamous, notorious boxers, celebrities, and a lot of them let me down. A lot of them, they're not as nice as you think. But he's just, he's just one of the lads, basically. And you could basically put him on a street corner, drinking Buckfast, and he'd just get on with everyone. He's very from humble beginnings. He was brought up in Newcastle. So he's from a council estate, and he just got from the first day what it meant and what it was about to play for Celtic Football Club.
I says, mate,
Jamie,
no, you go, I know.
Jamie, does he still follow Celtic now?
See, I asked him, right, because I've got a guy who lives near me, a guy called Bernie Slaven, and he was from Easterhouse, although the papers say Paisley. And anyway, he was Middlesbrough's greatest ever signing, probably the best player Celtic never signed. And I said to him, because I'd done an evening with Bernie Slaven a few times, and I said, if Celtic played Middlesbrough in the UEFA Cup final, who would you want to win? With a room full of Borough supporters. And he went, Tottenham. Yeah. And I asked Tomo that. And he couldn't, it was like, you know, because Tomo was Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like I'd asked him which one of his daughters he loves the most. It was just like, get the fuck away from me. How dare you even? It was like, it proper stressed him out. Do you know what I mean? It was like, and he's really close with Chris Sutton. Sutton was his best kind of. Paul Lambert said to me, Tomo and Sutty were like giant haystacks and Big Daddy because they were always winding people. He's really close with, I don't know whether you know him, the Celtic doctor, Roddy McDowell.
Yeah.
Aye.
I think it's anyway.
Roddy McDonald's, that?
Sorry?
Roddy McDonald's, that?
Yeah, I'm thinking of Roddy McDowell. I think the Rangers.
I think you're thinking of Kenny McDowell.
And that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
He used to be at Celtic, didn't he?
Well, Tomo was close to him because when Tomo got put in the reserves in the Strachan year, obviously he was on a ridiculous contract. And, you know, rather than, he said to Kenny, he said, look, I want to play. So he was in the side with Simon Ferries and your Charlie, who else? Your Paul McGowan's and your Simon Cuthberts, all the young players, just, you know, never really made it. And, you know, and yeah, he was at Celtic the other week for the first time since he was sacked. And then he done 3 evening whiffs, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it was really emotional for him because, you know, I mean, and he was quite tearful. He said, I've never been back and I've just spent 3 nights with 300, 400 Celtic supporters and everyone just wanted to cuddle him or kiss him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like really mentally fucked him up because it was almost like, you know, yeah, he's someone, he will never be forgotten. And listen, if Alan Thompson's 88-year-old in a pub in Glasgow, he'll still have free drinks all day.
Oh, definitely.
When I'm an old man, when I'm a very, very old man, I'll still be talking about him, Jimmy. He was really, I never, like, Henrik and, you know, all the obvious ones. For me, it was Tomo. Like, just unbelievable.
You know, Tomo got voted joint player of the Seville tournament with Henrik by the supporters. So, you know.
That just shows you how good he was. And as you say, Jamie, I think these wee speaker events and evening whiffs, I think maybe the players don't really, obviously they understand how big they are and the kind of the devotion that the fans have. But I think when you go to these wee events where there's no cameras, there's no phones, it's just you, and I think they realise, you get that personal touch, and I think they realise how kind of loved and how appreciated they were as players. And I think JP, that's just us as fans. When you see a good player and a guy who gives it all, you take it in. And I'll give you the last kind of bit of the podcast to wrap it up.
Can I just sorry to interrupt, Ryan, but
yeah,
can I just show you this? Alan, give me that for doing his book.
Oh wow!
Signed, brilliant.
Wow, that's superb.
So,
Pride of place as well, Jamie.
Well, listen, you need to before I put you over to JP. I've told him all about you, so you need to text him. And next week, you know, Alan will put aside an hour or whatever. And when he's at my house in January, I'll make sure he's on again.
That says, mate, the fact of even talking about him to get him on this is phenomenal. Because he is one of my heroes, and even get your cell phone and talking about him and your stories and come on the podcast, mate. It's big for me, and it's good for me and JP and Robert and everybody else who's come on to listen to your stories and obviously talk about Alan. For us to get him on here and have a chat, just a normal chat, would be brilliant, because he is, again, it's somebody who you don't really get to talk to guys that often, even just in a Zoom call and anything else. It's phenomenal. But as I say, JP, the last one for yourself, obviously Celtic and kind of going forward. Obviously the good result for the weekend there on Thursday, obviously Betis, but what's your kind of take for the last kind of few days events?
A lot of progression for various different reasons. I think a couple of results this season, but we've only won with a 1 goal. We've not been kind of free flowing. You know, I sit there's people that sit beside me at Celtic Park that, you know, for the slightest of wee things, they got on they're right on their backs. It's like they're building. You know, like you're turning around and you're trying to. You feel as if you're their coach, trying to tell them what's happening in the game, and as I say, it can be brutally murder at times listening to it coming from behind you, because it's the same people all the time. It's, you know, and guys, but look, before we go, I'll let you, one of the biggest cries I've heard. See when we played Bayer Leverkusen and they beat us 4-0. Kid you's not. There was a guy behind me saying, "Why is Ange no bringing Samaras on?" No. Right, no. I swear to God, right? I had to do a double take. And the guy beside him says, "What did you just say there?" He went, "Hey, Samaras not coming on." You're talking about you got it again. At least pay attention to what's happening. You know?
Surely he must have been lined up to try and get a bite.
Straight face. Kind of Ricky Fulton, Reverend I Am Jolly material here. Straight face. Nothing. Nope. And there was people running about him saying, do you know mean somebody else, like the other big Greek boy that we've got, you know, like the striker? No, Samaras. Big guy with long hair. He started describing Samaras. You're like, oh my God.
Can I just actually show you something? Now, funny you should say that, because Georgie Samaras there. But I've actually named my dog Georgios. Georgie! See, I had Henrik Larsson, but it died a couple of years back. Georgie! When she comes in, I'll let you see her. But the thing is, my wife is in love with Georgie Samaras, but so am I. So we can't name the dog after him. But I mean, what I said to Tomo was, "Oh, there's Georgie there, Georgios." she passed, agreed. But I said to Tomo, I said, "I want to get Georgie Samaras's book on the back of yours, and I want to have an affair with Georgie Samaras."
But to be fair, he's got gorgeous locks, so he could be a woman, know what I mean? Just disguise a football.
Well, that was his nickname, Ryan, wasn't it? Big Gorgeous George. He get called. No, the guy that's by the right seen at Leverkusen game, this guy was deadly serious. He was talking about Samaras.
That's brilliant.
But no, Ryan, getting back to what you were saying there, mate, we're probably ahead of where we should be just now, because, as I said earlier on, it's a brand new team, 12 new players, try to set into a new manager, a new way of working. McGregor's not even used to this. So, brand new side, put together so fast, try to gel, and see now that they're gelling, you can see every tactic the manager's trying to implement now, you can see it all becoming second nature with them. Because I think you saw, I've never seen this before, especially yesterday. Greg Taylor was at right back at one of the points, and Juranovic was at left back at one of the points, off the back of an opposing set piece. And the two of them had switched till we got the ball, and then Taylor made a pass up. And then he switched there, and Juranovic switched back across. So just, you're watching guys becoming very, very comfortable now in what the manager's asking them to do. And they're playing at such an intensity now that the teams in Scotland are going to really struggle to cope. And I think one of the things Tam Coates, I know you're saying he likes big words, but, you know, on the radio, he was talking about his Big McGrew, and I think the boy a a Pereira and the boy Fuchs. They came off that park yesterday and they turned around and they told them, we're knackered.
No.
Like, we are totally done. Like, gubbed. And they were all puffing and panting. And I heard a few murmurs the other night. It was, you know, a couple of the Hearts boys were saying it was something that was relentless. The way Celtic's press and tapping them and the way Celtic keep the ball. And unbelievable. And I've even heard Andy Halliday in open goal talk about it. It's really hard to play against, especially and I'm talking about the game that they beat us at Tynecastle at the beginning of the season. It's very hard to play against because of that inverted fullbacks. We were all talking at the beginning, saying, "Is this going to work? Is it no? Is it?" It's working. We've even took some of the European team. For me in the Europa, we get a group of deaf guys. I don't know what you think individually, but for me, we get a group of deaf. If you look at the teams that were in our group, very good sides, and if we've got 6 points in the group so far. But look at the games. We've scored some amount of goals away from home in Europe this season. We've been beat with the one goal here and there. Leverkusen won 7-1 at the weekend against Fuchs. I know Fuchs are bottom of the league. But they beat them 7-1.
And they beat Leipzig after us an off 3-1.
They beat Leipzig after us 3 or 4-1 as well, mate. So gone to Germany and we scored 2. And by the way, they're probably gone, we were lucky. Because they scored 2 late goals against us to win the game. And even their manager was saying, about the progression of Ange as well. And so everything's all positive. Everything's moving in the right direction. And I think it's just baby steps. There's no noise coming for Celtic this season, guys, either. The way you saw last season. Last season was just a total train wreck for the beginning to the end. And it was one thing after another. This season, there's nothing coming out of that. Nothing. There's no noise being made. There's still noise being made for the other side of the city. There's no noise for here.
Do you know?
And that's helping as well.
Well, you're absolutely right there, mate. That exactly was the group of death. Now, I remember speaking to Alan Thompson, and he went, really? And I said, really? He said, Jamie, Real Betis are not second in the Spanish league for nothing.
Yeah. And
then Bayern, Leverkusen done us 4-0. And then the week after, Bayern Munich smashed them. They were winning, beating Leverkusen 5-0 at half time. And it's like, Jesus Christ, the level is phenomenal. But that group, without a shadow of a doubt, and even the team, I can never know how to pronounce them, which we beat them home and away, you still have to go over to Turkey. And that's never, ever easy.
My friend's Faros, isn't it? Aye.
Yeah. But see, the other week, when we lost, we scored 2 in Germany. Listen, I can take losing. I don't mind losing if we played well. And over the years, when we've been smashed by PSGs and you think, I'm fucking deeply embarrassed. Where the other night, I was like, you know what?
Proud.
I'm proud of my team. And you're to go over in Germany and score 2 goals. So you're absolutely right, mate. There's not. Last year was probably the hardest season since maybe Joseph Lenglos or something like it was. I wanted the season to be. The season was over in November.
Brady.
It really, really was. It was finished by Halloween. You knew we had no chance, and we were going to get worse and worse. Most of the players didn't want to be there, stealing a wage. Ryan Christie, dreadful, didn't want to be there. Went and said he didn't want to be there. Got his move away. French Eddie was mediocre at best, and it was just painful to go through. And everything, 12 months on, even 8 months, it's just night and day. And listen, I'm really happy with what he's done.
No, I think I echo everything you say there, lads. It's been a fantastic podcast full of different wee topics. I know we're going in tangents, but it's good topics to go through. And I think sometimes it's good to get a good leverage of different topics. And again, JP, thanks again for coming on, giving your contribution tonight. Again, Jamie, once again, mate, thanks for coming on and talking about the book and obviously talking about the recent kind of games. But again, hopefully the book continues to sell out the shell, Jamie. Again, thanks for coming on, mate. Guys, hail,
Definitely.
hail, and take care. Good night.
Hail, Ryan. Thanks again, mate. Cheers. Cheers, Jamie.